Hi there, my name is James, but you may know me as Space-Time Badass. You know, the only thing I like more than lucid dreaming is answering questions about lucid dreaming. Recently I hit 1K subscribers and asked you to send in your lucid dreaming questions so that I could answer them in this video. So here are your questions with my answers. Nate Sexton asks, how often do you meditate and for how long? Generally, I don't meditate as much as some people might to use it for lucid dreaming, because as you probably already know, lucid dreaming is greatly benefited by meditation. But generally, I don't meditate super often throughout the day, maybe once or twice a week for maybe 5 to 10 minutes at a time. But that being said, I do meditate every night before bed, as that is the only thing that can actually get me to go to sleep. Otherwise, I could be up all night. So daily if you count that, but generally not a whole lot. But the more you do meditate, the more it will help lucid dreaming. Mike Taylor asks, do you think playing some super relaxing music while in bed attempting the wild can have positive or negative effects? Nothing relaxes me more than Tibetan bowl singing. For this, I would say it's really up to your preference, as long as there's nothing that's really preventing you from relaxing, which obviously bowl singing, you said it relaxes you, so as long as it's something that is relaxing, that can actually help you hold focus, it could actually end up being more of a positive thing than a negative thing. Again, this depends on the person, but generally if you have something going on that you can focus on and let your body go to sleep, so if you're remaining still and allowing your body to go to sleep, you have that thing to keep you conscious that you can focus on, that could be a big help. But again, everybody is different, so it's really down to your preference here. I don't see anything wrong with it. I've used guided meditations and binaural beats, not that they really work, and other forms of relaxing music and that sort of thing, and I found it to be a positive experience. So for you, that's for you to decide once again, but if it's something that I think everyone should try at least once to be sure whether or not it works for you. Miss Josh's Fat has asked a few questions. Question 1, what is your most amazing / profound lucid dream ever? This is one that I've actually described in an earlier video called Meditating in a Lucid Meditating in a Lucid Dream, and it's an experience that is really my first breakthrough experience and my all-time favorite one, because I was able to use it for so much positive change in my life. So that video should be on the screen, so you can click it now somewhere if you want to view that. But that's the answer to that one. Question 2. What things do I like about dream characters? One thing that I think I like about them, that is also a thing that you can also dislike about them, is how the answers they can come up with can be anywhere from really deep and profound to like the most ridiculous things you've ever heard. So it's kind of like a love-hate relationship. When you're trying to get a good answer, you can get these really nonsensical ones back, but at the same time you could be really doing nothing in particular of importance, and they can just hit you with real hard life lessons. So it's always a surprise what you're going to get, and I always think that's super interesting. Another thing is dream characters that are recurrent, that can just kind of pop up out of the blue from nowhere. And I've had dream characters that I've created with the intent of seeing them in other dreams, and they've just kind of popped in as extras and helped me become lucid sometimes. Or other times they'll just kind of pop up, say hi, catch up, and it's weird. You kind of get like a rapport with a dream character. It's super interesting, so that's one of my favorite things about them as well. Question 3. When the Team Lucid Dream house is built, will you move there? So anybody who follows me who's not checked out Team Lucid Dream, it's another lucid dreaming channel that I'm involved in with a bunch of other great people, and we've always kind of talked about if we get to a point where we can possibly make this like a kind of thing where we would actually be building like a career and making something big here to help other people, that we might all just relocate to one space. If it got to that point, and it's a big if, I think I would, but the only thing that holds me back, I think, from that, if it were to occur, is that I have 2 pit bulls, and going from the US to the UK with pit bulls is a thing that's damn near impossible, if not impossible. They have a ban on what they consider violent breeds, which pit bulls are not. I mean, I don't think really any breed of dog is a is a dangerous breed. It's all depends on how they're raised, I believe. But I mean, all over the UK, they have that law, and they have it. They just got it in. I don't think it was all of Canada, but it was like one city, like Quebec or Montreal or something, like banned the breed. So that's really sad. Especially that's my favorite breed of dog, and they're just big sweethearts. So that kind of sucks. That's the only thing that might be holding me back. But at the same time, nothing's gonna stop me. If if it gets to that point, I might just be like, okay, girlfriend, here's your dogs. I'm gonna go over to the UK and stay for a few months and come back. But I don't know. That sort of thing is like such a big if that it's not even worth thinking about right now. And question number 4 that Ms. Josh is Fat has asked: if shared dreaming experiences exist, if shared dreaming experiences exist, and all of the Team Lucid Dream members were in the same dream, including Reese Jones, who do you think would win in a fight? What? In a dream fight? All the Team Lucid Dream members? I gotta give that to Geo, probably. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, Geo's pretty well versed, Max is pretty well versed, Reese, Giz, obviously. I'd like to think that I am. I don't know, you know? We'll give it to Geo by default. He's probably spent the most time lucid out of all of us. The next one is a question that wasn't specifically asked for the Q&A, but I saw it and I've since answered it, but I thought this might be one that you guys might benefit from hearing, because when it comes to all the videos that I have about the dream herbs and where I get those from, which is what this question is about, a lot of people think you have to go through like a specific online retailer or something, like, and a lot of those places can be kind of sketchy and run from weird countries and that sort of thing. So Ashley Woodford has asked, I know this has been asked, but do you have a website you suggest purchasing from? Pretty much the only online retailer I could find are a few off of Amazon with bad reviews. Now, with all of the herbs that I've gotten and used for lucid dreaming, I have gotten them off of eBay. And it's pretty easy there. You just search for what you want, and then the best thing, I think, is to find a retailer who has sold a lot of that item, who have a lot of reviews on that specific item that they've sold. So if it's Silene capensis, aka African Dream Root, you want to check and see what their other customers are saying about that specific item. And that's never really bothered me, as long as you just research into what you're getting, you know what it should look like, and you know that way when you get it, you know that you have the real thing. So it's super easy, and you don't have to go through these sites that may charge a whole lot more, but at the same time, if that's what they specialize in and it is a reputable site, then I think that might actually be the way to go, depending. But eBay has served me well over the years, and I even got like Hawaiian Baby Wood Rose seeds from there, Morning Glories, I've gotten the African Dream Root, Kaylee's Catachichi, so all that stuff, and it's not bitten me in the ass one time yet, but now that I say that, it probably will. Fuck Off says, I can't lucid dream anymore because I smoke cannabis. Is there any way to counter this? Yes, I actually made a video about that, and since it's about weed, they demonetized it. But, yeah, my video on that is how to lucid dream if you smoke weed, which I should probably just link you to personally. But, yeah, the way to do that is by utilizing another thing called REM rebound. So I've explained this so many times, but smoking weed decreases the frequency of your REM cycles and makes them shorter, from what I understand. So REM rebound is when you deprive yourself of sleep, and once you become sleep deprived, was it maybe 16 hours or something like that? 12, 16? Then you become sleep deprived, so that means the next time you go to sleep, your brain needs REM cycle to survive, so the next time you go to sleep, it's going to try to get into the REM cycle of sleep much quicker and for longer periods of time. So that's kind of like how I've done it, balancing out with smoking cannabis and then lucid dreaming as well. I've actually kept a really bad schedule that's really unhealthy, but it served me well. But and doing that was, I would go to sleep for a night, and then I would go to work, and then I'd stay up all night and go to work again, and then when I got home I would go to sleep, and that has helped lucid dreaming a lot. But generally just keeping up with the practices is enough to continue lucid dreaming while smoking cannabis. For me personally, at least, I haven't noticed such a drastic effect, but there is some. Mike Camiso says, why don't we naturally lucid dream all the time, and what could be the potential health hazards, mental and physical, of lucid dreaming every single night? Why we don't lucid dream every night is something that needs to be studied more before we can really give a definitive answer on that. They say children lucid dream naturally more than adults do, so it could be something with the chemical balance going on in the brains at those times before puberty. But generally, it's like, who really knows? It's something that definitely needs to be studied more, so I can't really speak to that as I'm not a scientist and I don't have data to look at and compare and see exactly what's going on. It just simply hasn't been studied enough, so we might figure something like that out in the future. On what the potential health hazards, mental, physical, of lucid dreaming every single night might be, my guess is none. There's no physical aspects that are bad unless you somehow just sleep for like 12 or more hours a day, like every day. That would be really unhealthy, and it really has nothing to do with lucid dreaming. Mental health hazards, the biggest hazard is probably false memories. If you lucid dream every night, then when your brain is consolidating memories, you might kind of mix in some dream experiences since you're lucid during them. And this is something that's heavily debated in the lucid dreaming community right now. But really, false memories aren't that big of a thing as long as you try to put context to them, because false memories shatter when you add context. So think critically about the false memory if you think that you have one, and try to see what happened before it, see if you can remember, think about the events surrounding it as much as you can, and generally when you can't place context, then you know that it's a false memory and thus not to be followed or, I guess, believed. Cool Want Grill asks, do you need to have a journal for lucid dreaming or no? I would say yes, at least in some form. It may not have to be writing it down, it could be typing it, it could be dictating it. As long as you have some record where you're actually trying to record your dreams down. It's not 100% necessary. I think you could probably lucid dream with doing reality checks and technique at night, but the problem with that is the dream journals build dream recall, so if you don't remember that many dreams naturally, you're probably going to need a dream journal in order to get to a point where you can remember enough dreams to have lucid dreams, or rather, you might be having lucid dreams and not remember them, so it is advised, let's say, to have a dream journal, otherwise you may not get very far with lucid dreaming. What asks, have you heard of anyone using post-hypnotic suggestion to make reality checks more consistent? No, I haven't. The main thing I've heard of is people setting alarms on their phone to go off and kind of vibrate to remind them, or you can like write something on your hand like "Am I dreaming?" to remind you that when you see it throughout the day to do a reality check. There's little stuff like that. Tricks of the trade for remembering things that have been around for, forever. I mean, you probably could possibly use hypnotic suggestion to remember a reality check if you wanted to, and if you were a person who's susceptible to hypnosis, then I think, yeah, you probably could, but my question is why? There's so many other ways to get the same effect from it. I don't think it would really be beneficial to anyone. It's just one of those things, just remember it, just like paying your taxes, going to work, your phone number, just remember it, and then do it. So, I mean, if it's important to you, you're more likely to remember it. So, make lucid dreaming important to you. Paul Levine asks, I'd like to get your idea on the different time frames people can expect to have their first lucid dream. I've heard a couple of weeks to months. I myself started in October last year, and it hasn't happened yet. This is something that I think I answered in another video that was how many lucid dreams to expect per month. I think I also mentioned something about when you can start first having lucid dreams, when to expect that, but really it's just a shot in the dark. Everyone is different. It's a very individual practice. So, I mean, if you're doing good reality checks that you're actually questioning reality, and you're keeping the dream journal daily, and you're doing a technique at night, and anything on top of that is icing on the cake, if you're doing those things, then I'd say lucid dreaming is inevitable, it's coming, but when, I think, is really anybody's guess. Some people take it up in the first couple of days, they get it. Some people it takes a couple of weeks and they get it. It took me a few weeks after I had started trying to do the practices, but again, if you know me, you know my past, so it's kind of like a different kind of situation. But some people it can actually take months, some people it's taken years. Anyone can do it, but if it's taking you a matter of months, I think then you need to really reevaluate your practices and making sure you're doing everything right and the best way for you. So that is doing reality checks again, where you're really questioning reality, keeping the dream journal, and actually using it to find your dream signs so that you can turn those into mild affirmations. And then, of course, the last thing, mild affirmations, the technique. Make sure you're doing the technique right. Are you doing wake back to bed? Are you doing wake induced? Or are you trying to do dream induced? Because dream induced is a lot easier and better to start with. So, for instance, one of the things is if you're doing mild and you're still not seeing success with that, then the reason for that could be for the way that you're stating your affirmations. You may not be doing the best affirmation for you. And in another video that I made, how to craft the best mild affirmation, something like that, I think, or the secret to great mild affirmations, one of the two. I go over that in detail, how you can experiment around and find the best mild affirmation for you, and that was a big helper for me, finding that out, and I think it will be for you too if it's taking you a long time. It's a little bit longer than most people, I think, but really it's hard to say. Jonah Chaz Hennigan on Facebook asks, I have a question about LSA. What was your favorite experience on it, and how did it affect you? LSA, for anyone who doesn't know, is like a precursor. It's very chemically similar to LSD, only it's a completely natural compound. It's an entheogen, so it's kind of the same neighborhood of drug, but legal here in the U.S., but not really legal to ingest. It comes in like Morning Glory Season, Hawaiian Baby, Road Rose, like I mentioned even earlier. So yeah, that can make you trip. How did it affect me, and what was my favorite experience on it? How it affected me, LSA, is very different from the mushroom experience, in that on mushrooms you can kind of get confused and you can get just kind of tucked away in your own headspace and like be way too in your head, whereas with LSA I felt more social. I felt more on top of my game, like my mind was working a lot faster than it ordinarily does. I was able to form thoughts much quicker. I felt more like I had better reflexes, and just generally all around happier. I felt like me, like the best me that I could be in that moment was on LSA. And as far as other effects, I heard like a humming in my head that you might associate with like the vibratory state or hypnagogic state if you're trying to lucid dream or have out-of-body experiences. So I had that going on. All the colors were really bright, and I would see patterns overlaying things, and those patterns had really sharp edges to them, and the edges were like rainbow colored, glistening back, and like lights had like auras or whatever. But yeah, some visual stuff there, but mainly it was just like I felt top of the world, basically. My favorite experience on it is one of the first times I took it, I just took some, chilled out at home with my girlfriend at the time and a couple of friends, and we played like ping pong or some shit like that, and it was a great time just sitting around doing not that much, playing around, and I was like the only one on LSA at the time, so maybe everyone else didn't have fun, but I sure as heck did. I see LSA as more of a kind of fun, more party-esque drug than I would assume LSD might be, but I guess LSD is kind of seen as a party drug too. But for me, mainly, I see psychedelics like mushrooms and that sort of thing as like an internal experience that I want to have in a serious setting with me alone and learning something about myself. But with LSA, I think it promotes having fun, and I think it was great. But I can't recommend it because YouTube, don't do drugs, kids. This concludes our 1K subscribers Q&A, guys. Thank you for submitting your questions. I hope that I've answered them sufficiently. Tune in next week for a another video, and until next time, take it easy.